The following podcast contains some strong language and some very average opinions. Any references to actual people are wildly inaccurate. It's probably best if you don't listen at all. The Roaring Peacock Podcast.
Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock Podcast. This is the match preview between Leeds United, greatest team in the world, and Chelsea, the Russian shit cunts from down south. My name's Adonis. You know me as @TheAdelites on Twitter. Joining us today to discuss this game is our resident Riot Badger, returning Alex.
Back from the dead. Hello.
You've become Scouse in the time that you've been away.
My name's John Lennon. I'm back from the dead.
And joining us is one of the Chelsea subreddit moderators, Dan Welso.
Hi, nice to be here. Thanks a lot for having me.
You're kind of welcome, Dan. You are.
We'll see how this goes, shall we?
Welcome. So, how is everybody? How are you, Dan? How are you, Alex?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. I'm good. It's a Friday, which is obviously enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to seeing Chelsea play Leeds for the first time in a very long time, I have to say. So,
did you buy tickets then?
I didn't. I'm a member, but I'm not a season ticket holder, and I dared to put my name in a ballot. I just dread to think about whether you could even get a ticket, to be honest, mate.
You will get lynched by season ticket holders if you, as a member, got a ticket. Let me tell you.
Now I've said this, definitely, yeah.
Saying that, though, I reckon there will be at least one Leeds fan in the Chelsea end for this. There's got to be somebody who's paid above the odds, has bribed some poor Chelsea supporter, like been there every game, man and boys, like, no, I'll give you $5,000 for your ticket. There's always somebody who's got to outdo the others, isn't there?
Well, it's a good thing it's social distancing, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah,
that could be rather messy.
That guy sounds like he's from Yorkshire. Fuck that.
Feels like a bit of class distancing as well. So, kind of talking about tickets, we might as well touch on it. Ticket prices, some of them are going for £75. Others are going for £470.
Okay.
So this was a premium plated package, luxury seat in the West Stand middle tier, glass of champagne on arrival.
Well, that's £100 already, isn't it?
Yeah, 470. I'd like the bottle, please. Where's the rest of it? Complimentary bar included, beer, wine, spirits, soft drinks. You get a team sheet. Oh, good piece of paper.
Good.
Yeah,
Nice.
print out and a program. Dan, do you despair at your club? I mean,
You renounce your club and all it stands for.
yeah, you're going to burn your shirts and.
Yeah, just because. Well, you would do, wouldn't you? It's a weird one, really, because I suppose as a Chelsea fan, I've always been quite used to the higher pop tickets. I suppose I wouldn't agree to the £70, but it's difficult times, isn't it? Really, and if there's only 2,000 fans that are allowed in, if people are going to pay £70, then people are going to pay it, aren't they? So
Difficult times, not for Russian billionaires.
Well, we see we've got to pay off Werner, haven't we, and Havertz and all these other players, and coming around to January as well, I expect Declan Rice to be joining us. So people have got to pay to get him in.
And do you know how much it costs to run a giant yacht with its own helicopter? I mean,
and submarine.
come on, man. He's having a hard time, is Roman. It's
He's on his last. He's on his last oil fields.
that's it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I will give Roman his dues, though. I think over the coronavirus period, obviously Chelsea were one of the main clubs that kept people employed. Did a lot for the NHS and other bits and pieces like that as well. So even though I might slightly be biased, they did do quite a lot for the community back when it was quite difficult times.
Yeah, so he didn't sack your mascot or anything like that.
No.
You've got that moral high ground against the other London clubs. Yeah.
Now, I do have a responsibility to ask you this question. So, when did you start supporting Chelsea?
Okay, yeah, good question. So I've definitely I've been supporting Chelsea all my life, really. My dad is from London, so the actual fans have come up through there. So I do remember the old days. I remember, not finishing in the top half of the table and other bits and pieces like that. So what can I say? That after 2005, it all got a lot nicer for me, I have to say. So can't complain.
Takes the shine off it, though, doesn't it? Isn't it a bit like using a cheat code on Football Manager or something? You use a cheat code and give yourself 5 billion.
Yeah, but sometimes you want to use a cheat code, don't you, really? I have to say. And it's nice to lift some silverware every now and again, I have to say.
You feel dirty, though, don't you, afterwards? You feel dirty, like you've looked up some weird porn, innit?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like that?
I have a cold shower afterwards, to be fair, and everything's all right, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, I feel fine after it,
Post-euphoria, it's okay.
He's a moderator on Reddit. He's seen stuff, so you can't shame him with weird porn.
You've got 200,000 members on that subreddit. Is that correct? Was I reading that right, or did they get a note wrong?
Yeah. No, 205,000 members. So I think I jumped on the Leeds subreddit after you messaged, actually. And I think you've got like 19,000 or something. So I think Chelsea subreddit is like the third or fourth biggest in the Premier League, the UK fan base wise, which is pretty cool.
How do you do that?
So
how do you keep them, all those monkeys in check? Is that difficult?
Well, I'm sure they're all going to lynch me afterwards, to be fair, after they've all watched this. But no, I have to say, we've actually got quite a nice fan base. And even though on the internet, you're always going to find you've got the crazy people, but on the whole, people are actually quite well-mannered and actually have something decent to say rather than sack the manager, Lampard out and stuff like that, There's a bit more constructive.
That's just on the Leeds forum.
No. But no, yeah, generally it's okay, I have to say, and it's nice to have quite a big community to be involved with when it comes to games as well. So it's all good.
So I think all the Leeds United subreddit, all that is to rip my content off Twitter and put it on Reddit in their name. That's all that's for.
That's the internet, isn't it?
It sounds like a very sensible plan, though, to sack Lampard.
Do you reckon?
Do you not think that with that team that you have, somebody else could be winning just about everything, every competition that ever existed, and ones that don't?
Yeah, it's a weird one because I do think, honestly, it was probably a little bit too soon for Lampard to come into the job. However, obviously there was that romanticism around it all, him coming back to the bridge, a year at Derby, and this and the other. However, I do think that this time around it might be slightly different. Obviously, please feel free to clip this and put it on again in a year's time when we've got another manager in. But it does feel like a lot more this time around. We're actually building something and there is a little bit more time. I think Havertz is the perfect example where he's not playing day in and day out. And I think Frank's been given the opportunity to pick his own sides and actually play the teams that he wants to rather than having that pressure on him. So... But yeah, who knows? Really, who knows? Maybe Mourinho will come back for his third stint when it all goes to pan at Spurs.
Alex, do you have anything to say? Huh?
Don't threaten me with that.
I'm poking you. I'm poking you with my big foam finger.
This podcast is an audio medium, but please visit the YouTube if you'd like to see It's difficult to sort of justify the amount of money we've been spending in the past 2 seasons and this season compared to how much was keeper? 70 something million?
Yeah, a lot.
Like our team cost less than your keeper did last season, and it's just unreal. And it's like if I went on Football Manager and I know nothing about football, if I went on Football Manager and had a cheat code, I'd probably buy the players that you guys have got. And it feels like that's what Lampard's done. It's just like a kid at Christmas. He couldn't have done that at Derby, so he's got to do it that way. But I don't know. It just leaves it a little bit cold for me. But maybe that's just jealousy. I don't know.
So we have that effect on a lot of people, don't we? So
I think it comes across a bit as entitlement. I think that's the overarching feeling I get from Lampard in general. I feel like if he loses a game or something goes wrong, he's immediately complaining about everything. Klopp, the weather, the pitch, the schedule, You know what I mean? But when he wins a few games, he doesn't complain about anything. Is that right, Dan?
I don't know, because watching some of Klopp's post-match, so you're poking out your product.
Dan, you think shit.
I don't know. I think for me, I like seeing the passion, and again, it kind of goes back to that romantic feeling of Lampard being back in a different role. But I think this year's just going to be crazy because you got people like Klopp who are kicking off about the 5 subs, and it's all soon that Mourinho will be kicking off again. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing this thing as well. So I think it's nice to have a manager that's kind of in there really and getting involved, because at the end of the day, obviously we all watch our team play, but I think we're all interested in the stuff behind the scenes and what managers have to say about each other as well. So.
And Lampard's always got something to say, which then got a little bit of jocular, but no, seriously, he's followed the same template for ages. And this is no disrespect to Chelsea or you, Dan, but he's an absolute prick. I don't know how you guys can like him.
He is.
Just comes across as most disingenuous.
How we can have a go at Klopp and Liverpool for celebrating winning the title for the first time for them in 30 years. When he won a semi-final playoff against us, and they took a fucking shit in our changing room. I mean, there's levels in there.
That's something to celebrate, that is, isn't it?
So he was comparing his playing accolades to Klopp's managerial accolades, which they just don't translate. He needs knocking down a few pegs. So Saturday, 5 o'clock. There you go.
Yeah, it's a weird time as well, isn't it? It's too late.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's too late for a football game, Dan?
I don't know. I think at the moment, when there isn't anything else to do over the weekends, I quite enjoy the fact that I can organise my day and watch the game at 12:30, then at 3, then at 5, and then at 8 o'clock. So I quite like the idea of watching the game at 8 o'clock. I can put my kids to bed, and then jobs are good enough for me.
Yeah, but Dan, we've got to do a fucking match review after it's finished.
Sorry, mate. Well, that's the job you got into, isn't it? So
that's it. 1 o'clock in the morning, lads. I think.
So, as we all know, from oil money comes plastic fans. This is an issue. You've been obviously you were supporting Chelsea before 2005. So, is this an issue for you, Dan? Is that annoying to you somehow?
Yeah, I suppose. I think I'm more annoying for the facts for stadium going fans, I suppose, because it does make it more difficult to get tickets and go to the game. However, I don't know. It's nice to have your club backed and to become a bit more of a global phenomenon, as it were. I'd rather have more fans than less fans, I suppose. And I'm sure that you guys would be exactly the same. If you're in my position, I'm sure you'd be more than happy to have everyone on the bandwagon celebrating, surely?
Yes. I think it's difficult because we have gone through some shit to get to where we are now. And it does rankle a little bit. That's like, there's people coming in now who are new fans. Oh, I've decided to choose Leeds United as my football team. It's like, where the fuck are you from? But no, it is nice to see new fans. I think the documentary did a lot of that for us, and we have gained a lot of fans from it. And they're welcomed on the whole. But if they want to take my fucking seat, they can fuck off. Whether we
the ones that get me are the Twitter profiles that are like, I'm a dedicated Chelsea and Man United fan,
Yeah. Because I followed Juan Mata across, and he's my favourite player, so I have to have two shirts and stuff like that. But I don't know, because I think the weirdest thing is, I don't know whether any of you guys support any other sports, but like for me, when it comes to basketball, it's very difficult to follow an English basketball team. So you kind of have to go to the American leagues and obviously the NBA. Even though I know the Americans now are getting their MLS up and running, and it has been going on for some time, it's very difficult to overlook the Premier League, considering it's on everywhere. So, naturally, you're always going to find there are going to be people going, Christian Pulisic, I really want to support the club that he plays for. And, Messi and Ronaldo have been doing it for ages a lot with their fans as well. So,
Dan, Dan, you're on the Roaring Peacock. This is far too sensible and logical statements.
It's fine. When we start talking into the match, we can actually start all the profanity, can't we? Really?
So memories of Leeds versus Chelsea then. Memories of the rivalry.
I think the one that I remember is there was a cup game at Ellen Road, and it was just as stuff had started going wrong for us. I think we were in the Championship at the time, and Chelsea brought a few fans. I think you filled the cheese wedge and just sang Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea for 120 minutes. It's like, a new song, please. Another one.
I know that one.
Well, it's for the plastic fans, you see, because they remember the name, so it's easier to say.
Right.
Support again, Chelsea. Yeah.
I did hear there was a phase, I think it was like maybe 98 it could have been, and or 97, 98, 99, somewhere around then. And there was this thing of, we're just going to sing Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea for the whole game, for the 90 minutes.
That's what it was. And other things I remember is you used to be sponsored by Coors and Amiga. It's just two of the best sponsors ever. Coors, a shit beer, Amiga, fantastic computer system.
Auto Glass as well. Auto Glass was my first shirt. I just remember obviously seeing that and not even knowing what Auto Glass was when you were young as well. You just go like, what is that? And obviously when you're older, it's windscreen repairs, is it? You don't get a lot of them anymore, do you?
How did they have the money to sponsor, to have the shirt sponsor of Chelsea football? Madness, isn't it?
It is, especially think nowadays.
They were going around smashing a lot of windows. There were a lot of money.
Oh dear.
It's begun.
Yeah. The Battle of the Bridge, memories of that? There were two sendings off. I think they were both in the first half.
Years ago for me, man. I couldn't remember that far behind. We talk about the 2004 game.
No. It was before then, I think. I think it was one of those. Yeah, I think it was 97.
I have no idea.
Do you not remember that game either?
No, I have no idea. 97 was when... So what would happen in 97? Oh, I'd discovered girls. Probably not really that interested in football. So.
Well, I know the feeling. I've only got a small one, but I know the feeling. No, it's one of these games that you need to go on after this pod. You need to jump off. You need to hop on YouTube if you haven't seen it. And there's a foul less than every 5 minutes, or is it a yellow card less than every 5 minutes? And two sendings off, and it's one of the most incredible games of football that you'll ever see. Just about 7 players from both sides completely lost their heads within the first 5-10 minutes.
Sounds about right. So that's what we'll be seeing tomorrow then.
I was going to say, do you think that's going to be happening tomorrow? Because I think the Chelsea Leeds rivalry, I think there'll have to be quite a lot of younger fans that won't necessarily remember the intensity of quite a lot of our games. Because I was trying to think about this before. Obviously, it's only really Frank that's experienced the Chelsea Leeds games. So, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, there's Patrick Bamford as well. Obviously, a lot of dog in the fight. He's got 2,000 fans to shush when he scores. It's one of them where commentators, like they did at the Everton game for us, it's a classic fixture, rivalries renewed and stuff like that, but we're two very different teams from when we last met, so it'll be interesting to watch. I don't think it'll be fouls flying in, although we've got a reputation of being a dirty Leeds team. We're nothing like it. We're bottom of the league for fouls and cards and stuff, so it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah,
well, I think that the young fans of Leeds United will understand the rivalry, because almost every game we sing, when I was just a baby, I asked my mother, what should I be? Should I be Chelsea? Should I be Leeds? Here's what she said to me. Wash your mouth out, Dan, and go get your father's gun. And shoot the Chelsea scum. Shoot the Chelsea scum. We hate Chelsea. We hate Chelsea.
Yeah, Dan doesn't rhyme with gun.
Fuck off,
just for
Alex.
next time.
You're meant to be on my side here.
I met the song better.
No, but yeah, I think there will be an understanding. Obviously, there's going to be fans there. I'm sure you guys will be singing "We All Hate Leeds." There'll be some element of it, but it won't be the same. I did see a particularly hot, spicy take on Twitter today.
Oh, this is the same one I saw. This was brilliant.
Are you going to? Is this the?
Or was it regarding that? Oh, it's going to be difficult for Chelsea because Leeds will park the bus.
Yes. You want to read that
Oh
out?
my fucking God. I can't read it out verbatim, but
Okay.
obviously
Leeds-
that guy's never seen us play football at all.
Leeds
so-
parking the bus. Chelsea will struggle to break them down, but 3-0 incoming.
Is this from a Chelsea fan?
I won't give out the app. Then we don't induce a pile-on.
But if you search for it, you'll find it on Pylon, all you want.
Yeah, but if you search for it on Pornhub, 500 Leeds fans pile on desperate Chelsea male.
I think it's just lazy researching it. That's all it is. They're assuming just because we're a newly promoted team that we will sit back behind the ball, which to his detriment, sometimes I think we attack a little bit too much, probably leave ourselves a little bit open at the back, but we're never going to change what we do. And that's why we like watching Leeds. So.
Well, I was going to say, the game that you played against Man City, you didn't park the bus, did you? It was quite a high-flying game, and I was kind of expecting, not along the same lines, but something similar, surely with the Chelsea game as well. So, parking the bus, amazing.
This is the third season with Bielsa at the wheel, and I am yet to see a Leeds team park the bus.
No.
We were 3-0 up against Cardiff one time. We just kept attacking, and they came back and drew 3-3. So if you don't park the bus at 3-0 or 4-0 up, you're never going to park the bus.
You parked the bus at 7-0, didn't you? Because 7-0 is a dangerous lead.
Yeah, for Leeds it would be. If we were against 10 men Wigan, I would park the bus at 7-0.
If we got a penalty and they got a man sent off,
Yep.
definitely time to park the bus. Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't want to live through that again, please.
No. Please, God, no. So, seems like as good a time as any. And I have some incredibly good news for fans of Alex, because in the match preview prediction,
Hi,
Alex is on 8 points, and our opposition fans are on 6 points. Alex has scored in 7 out of 10 games so far, and the opposition have only scored in 3 out of the 10 games so far. So, Dan, and for any new listeners, I will ask you, Dan, for a prediction, and then I'll ask Alex for a prediction. You get 1 point for guessing if it's a win, draw, or a loss. You get 3 points for the exact scoreline, and you will get a point for guessing a scorer. I'm going to introduce a new rule because it has dawned on me since Alex mentioned it. I had the revelation right after you told me about it, that people could game the system here. So when you are guessing the scorer, bear in mind that you will lose 1 point if you're not correct with those scorers. So, with all that in mind, Dan, what is your match prediction?
Oh, it's tough. My head says it's going to be a score draw. However, I'm going to go with my heart and say it's going to be 3-1 Chelsea with Giroud to score.
Woof.
Going big or going home.
I'm going to be more conservative and say it's going to be 6-0 Leeds. No. I think it's going to be...
Bamford to score 4.
It's going to be 2-1 to Leeds. I'm going to get 2 from Bamford. And he's going to be an absolute shithouse as well.
See, I do think Bamford's going to be the one that scores for you as well in the 3-1 victory to Chelsea, you see.
I'll stop adding scorers in. I'm doing well here.
Okay, very nice. So that was the predictions. And now I've run out of talking points because you didn't remember any of the old rivalry stuff from the 90s. You bastards.
Well, the talking point is Tony Dorigo. He's a guy that's played for both, hasn't he? Which he always looked weird in a Chelsea kit. I never liked that. Got Dennis Wise as a common foe.
Yeah,
with his wobbly eyes, and Toriander Flo and Gus Poyet as well coming to us. With it's quite an inbred thing to say we've got a rivalry, but I don't think there's many ex-Chelsea that we're fond of, are we? Really?
We can always talk about the last meeting between Leeds and Chelsea if you want to. The League Cup game.
I don't think that happened.
No.
Don't remember that.
No. It's a League Cup, isn't it? He likes the League Cup, eh?
Yeah.
No, not a fan. Not a fan.
No. Ever since '96, I hated it. Ken Bates, you got any stories or memories of the man, the myth?
No. He's a nice guy.
What? Nah, we've not met the right guy. That must be a different. It must be Clive Bates that you guys met.
Yeah. Clive Bates, right? Clive. Ronald Bates. I suppose you've forgotten about him with all your rolling in your filthy, dirty oil money billions.
You just can't hear you. Yeah, exactly. It's just too many champagne corks popping around everywhere. It's tough to hear anything.
So what's interesting to me is you actually think so. You're going to get Declan Rice, right? To me, right? We've just come off the back of a summer transfer window that we haven't seen the likes of in decades. I feel like Rafinha's only just walked through the door, and I don't even know who Llorente is. He might just be
like
one of those stories that you tell children to. So you're talking about getting Declan Rice. You just spent £250 million, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's a strange one because I think Declan has always been mooted because of his links and obviously playing for Chelsea at the underage group. I think Frank wants someone to replace Kante, obviously, to switch in with him. Maybe more so for the fact that Kante probably was off his game last season. But again, I don't know. I think it's going to be weird to see because I did see some stories where the club were talking about how this is just phase one and how phase two is going to be coming in as well. And we do plan to spend more money come around this coming summer. So it'd be interesting to see what we do decide to do and whether we do get people like Rice to come in. But I think one thing I do like about Chelsea is that we do try and balance the books quite well. And even though this summer we have obviously spent a lot of money, we do sell a lot of players as well. And I think Marina tends to do quite well with the incoming and outgoing transfers.
I think I need to see how you balance a checkbook of $250 million in outgoings. I mean, that's...
You'd be surprised because, we sold Morata for 50 million. Diego Costa was sold for around about that amount as well. Hazard was sold for over 100 with a year left on his contract.
So you're in debt to Roman Abramovich to the tune of over £1 billion.
Yes, all right.
Am I missing something? You're balancing the books. Did I miss something here?
No, that's fine. You don't have to worry about that. It's cool. It's fine.
Sorry, Dan. I do realise that you've been a very good sport here coming on this podcast. I do realise that I'm roasting you, but I wouldn't feel right about myself if I was like completely nice to a Chelsea fan, to be honest. Even though you are an incredibly nice guy.
You just wait, mate. You just wait till this is over. I'll be going over to my subreddit and saying, "All right, we need to bomb these guys now."
Roaring
Peacock. These northern monkeys. Oh dear. I do see that you did make a profit of 62 million in the 2018-2019 season. I kind of see what you're saying, but I still think it's a crazy model, to be honest. I mean, you've gotten rid of Salah, Kevin De Bruyne. You don't develop players. You just treat them as some sort of commodities. I think that's the big issue as well with a lot of Leeds fans and the comparison with Lampard. Bielsa was nominated for FIFA Men's Best Coach. Okay, and this boiled an enormous amount of urine on Twitter, and there were a lot of people saying, "Oh, Lampard, why isn't Lampard nominated?" For example, just one of the names amongst Dean Smith, Chrissy Wilder, and all of that. And my argument would be that Chelsea, for example, you don't develop players. You send them out on loan. You get as many as you can in your youth team, then you send them all out on loan, and some of them turn out to be Salah and Kevin De Bruyne, and now you're talking about buying back Declan Rice.
Yeah, it is. I tell you what, it is strange because when you do pull out players like that, then you do kind of think, should we have probably given them more time? But I do remember when De Bruyne was playing and Salah, they weren't really world beaters like they are now. And if you gave them like another season or two, perhaps they would be the players that they are and still in a Chelsea kit. But then what you could say as well is, would we be without a few FA Cups and League Cups within that time as well? Because we would have had to have given those players some game time and perhaps not had ready-made players like we have now. So it's tough. But talking about obviously the loan army, I know obviously we do get a lot of stick for that, but I think it's our business model which has obviously been quite effective. So I don't necessarily see something wrong with it, but then I can see why other clubs do, because I think Man City probably have just as big a loan army, but yet no one ever seems to speak about them at all.
No, we don't speak bad about them because they give us Jack Harrison, so they're fine.
Oh, we did.
Absolutely fine.
We did speak about them. Alex put their badge on top of an oil canister.
I'm talking about their loan,
with the album cover.
Loan army, not their lines. The loan army. I'm fine with it because we got Harrison about it. But the Chelsea one, we got Izzy Brown. So
Fuck that.
You can say that Bamford's kind of come through the loan army, and he's developed into obviously one of your key strikers this year, hasn't he? So,
but he needed the world's best coach.
Indirectly, you're welcome.
I mean, you're talking about your players not being world beaters, Salah and De Bruyne, until they got developed elsewhere. I mean, you think this team that finished 13th before Bielsa, you think they were a bunch of world beaters before Bielsa? I just think that there's an alternative, getting a good coach. And I fail to see this thing about Frank Lampard, how he's a good coach. Is he a good coach? Am I missing something, Dan? You watch them every week. Well,
see, this season, I think we're playing a lot better than what we did last season for obvious reasons. He's still young in his coaching career, isn't he? And, I think I watched games like the Sevilla game on Tuesday, and even though it was one of Giroud's best games in blue, you've still got to put some respect onto Frank for his team selection. I think as soon as that team came out, a lot of people were like, why are we playing Emerson? Why are we playing Christensen? All these fringe players, but yet they gel quite well against a very good Spanish European team. So I think time will tell. My frustration is when he gets compared to people like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who have obviously been in management for a lot longer. I think Frank does need a bit more time before you can really judge him, I suppose. But then, when you are a manager of Chelsea, you're always going to have this on you, aren't you, really? Just as much as Bielsa does, I suppose, with Leeds.
So then the question is why are you willing to spend time on a manager, but not players like Salah and De Bruyne? That's it. Why would... it felt like he was brought in to kind of like be the make-weight while he had a transfer ban. And then afterwards he'd get axed and go, but he's kind of kept his job.
So this is what I think, that they kind of decided that they want a bit of a change, really, because we did go through managers like revolving doors, but because of the transfer ban, I think they used that opportunity to say, right, let's try and see what stability and long term looks like. And I think we're in an age now where it's very unlikely that we'll have managers that stay at clubs for an indefinite period of time, like your Wengers, like your Fergusons. So. I don't know, really. It's tough to say, but I would say if Frank was to win a trophy this season, for instance, however he does it or so, does that make people think differently of him? Or is it solely because he's in charge of Chelsea? Do we have to go to a different team? It's tough, isn't it, really, for any former manager?
I think I'd have respected him if he'd have moved to Chelsea after winning the league with Derby. Then he's achieved something as a manager, and then he's earned his place at a big club. But he's failed, and then he's got the job on kind of past ties, nepotism, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I can't judge him as a good manager. And taking away the Leeds side of things and the fact that he shat on his floor, allegedly, I cannot see him as a good manager or a good coach, because he seems to, like Adonis has said earlier, he seems to moan a lot when he loses and then not kind of give the credit to anybody else when he wins. So, yeah, he does need time. Definitely needs time to convince me that he's a decent manager. But time will tell. But managers do stick around for a long time, because Bielsa's going to be here until 2050. So
yeah, I would take our opinion with a pinch of salt as well. We are coming from the perspective of having the greatest manager potentially,
of course,
ever, in football in history ever. And even if he's not the greatest, he's in the argument. And even if he's not the greatest coach, he's probably the nicest. He's probably the nicest human being. Like, he never had a bad word to say about anybody. He gives the little kids sweets, He thanks everybody when he wins an award. He dedicates it to, the cleaning staff or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he's just unbelievably nice. He got the players picking up litter. So I do think there's a case of that we've kind of forgotten what it was like to have your sort of run-of-the-mill George Graham type manager. And I think if we were in the middle of a George Graham scenario, I think probably some people would be saying, oh, it'd be good if we had Frank Lampard. So.
What kind of position would Leeds have to be for them to sack Bielsa? Would that even ever be on the cards?
No.
Never. It'd just be there to stay, like you said, to 2050.
I think
if
we got relegated, I think we'd be all calling him for at least be given a season in the Championship to try and get us back up again. But it would be all about whether he'd want to stay. I think he has massively won us over now. And I've never seen, even back in the O'Leary, Wilkinson days, just after we'd won the league title, I've not seen such a global acceptance of the manager. So I think it'd take a lot for us to call for his head. I think you would get, if we do start flirting with the relegation zone, I think you will get some murmurs from certain sections of fans who have been calling for the head of every manager since the day dot. I think as a whole, I think we'll be quite forgiving of him. We're like religious zealots. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, even when we lose, or should I say, more like fail to score, it's not because of the system. It's not because of the tactics. It's usually just down to some individual mistakes or just not finishing off chances. We create so many chances with this system. And there is a certain element, I feel like, to being a football fan where you have to win the moral victory somehow against the other team. And I always felt that way. And things like, him giving Villa the goal, that kind of confirms it in a very real way.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with that, but yeah, still.
It's so strange watching. That was.
I'm thinking team-wise for tomorrow. Then, what's the injury status for Chelsea? Have we got?
Well, I think this is the first time that all of our players are fit.
Ah, fuck. Right. Okay.
Frank announced earlier on today that everyone's in contention for starting or playing the game, which is obviously great to hear from my side. So it's tough to say about the team sheet. I think Giroud is bang on to start after Tuesday, and I personally think we will go with the front three of Giroud, Ziyech, and Pulisic to start off with, which will be something to worry about from your guys' perspective, I presume.
So who would be on the bench for you then?
On the bench, we would have Tammy, Werner, and Hudson-Odoi as our front three on the bench.
Just Timo Werner, Hudson-Odoi, and Tammy Abraham, just in case you get into a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Which again, I think it's crazy because going from last season to this season, we've plugged so many gaps. And again, just looking at the game on Tuesday and looking at our bench, we were just kind of going, it's ridiculous. It's one of the first times in a long time that I can say I'm quite happy with everyone that we have in our team. I think like Thiago Silva coming in at the age of 36. He's just changed our back four completely. And we've gone from, conceding so many goals to now, shoring it up. Obviously, Mendy's a big part of that as well, mind you, but it's wonderful.
I think from our point of view, we're missing Koch, I think, so far. Koch's out for Chelsea. Other than that, I think we're full strength that way. Hopefully Phillips is available. If Phillips is available, I think we'll have a good game and I think we'll have a good chance. But yeah, it's a bit of a worry, especially after that result midweek for you guys. I'm not so confident, even though I have said that we're going to win in the predictions.
Full strength apart from Llorente, the myth. But
Llorente's fit though, isn't he? So,
but he hasn't played a full season of under 23 games yet.
No, I suppose not. So he's probably 98% fitness, isn't he? So he needs then 25 games until he's 100%.
He's in the bubble.
It'd be lovely to see what he looks like.
Yeah. I think, we were talking about this in the group chat, and those bubbles that people get into and they bounce around and they smash each other out of the way in those big bubbles. We can get Llorente and Forshaw into a couple of these big bubbles. So I think it wouldn't matter so much if they hadn't played the full season of under 23s.
It looked like Paddy Kenny was playing outfield.
Thomas Brolin.
Yeah, Thomas Brolin and Paddy Kenny outfield.
Mr. Blobby. We've got a front three of Paddy Kenny, Thomas Brolin and Mr. Blobby.
Oh, there's pace in this team, lads.
Is Noel Edmonds going to be managing then if Mr. Blobby's playing? Or?
Probably. He'll have a house party afterwards. It'll be fun.
And then
give us all a crinkly bottom.
And then everyone will get arrested because they're in tier 3. And then they'll have to disband the club again.
And then they put him in charge of Brexit and it's deal or no deal.
Yeah, we lasted 101 years this time. Let's go back to what names are left. We've done City, we've done United, so we could be Leeds Albion or
BFC Leeds, wouldn't it? We'd have to go modern. And then it'd be like all the tales are like, oh well, you don't remember what it was like when it used to be Leeds United. Well, what happened was Mr. Blobby and Noel Edmonds did.
Oh, wonderful.
Rightio. So a little bit of wrap it up then. So maybe just final thoughts on the game. Dan?
I'm looking forward to it. Again, it'd be nice to kind of rekindle that rivalry between Leeds and Chelsea. I do think it's probably going to be a bit mild-mannered compared to what a lot of people think, but then I imagine it's going to spark a lot for the next leg again when we're at the Ellen Road for you. So I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, I think it's going to be 3-1 Chelsea. We're coming off of a good spread right now. I'll give you a goal because Bamford's most likely going to score, but yeah, I'm confident, quietly confident.
Too
Less
kind.
confident.
You gave us a goal. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's nice, hospitable. That's the 470 quid that we've paid for the bubbly and the goal.
Complimentary goal.
Yes. Enjoy. Compliments of Chelsea. I think I'm looking forward to it. I don't like the late kickoff because it spoils the whole build up for me because kickoffs on Saturday should be 3:00, not 8:00 at night. But I think what we need to watch out for is if Lampard pulls the same thing that he did with Klopp with Bielsa, and there'll be 45,000 more millions of people that are acting like the granddad's been insulted, and we'll all be travelling to Chelsea en masse with pitchforks. That's all we need to look out for.
Yes, and for me, it will be nice to play the actual Chelsea rather than Millwall, which I presume is the kind of B-Tech Chelsea, the Chelsea light, if you will. So we should also mention All Elves Aren't We, which is our initiative to add a Christmas toy to the last food parcel delivery of the year. And we are desperately seeking driver elves. So if you would like to volunteer for that, you can email info@slunglow.org or visit All Elves Aren't We on Twitter. We are the Roaring Peacock at Peacock's Roar. My name is Adonis. You know me as @TheAdelites. So it's a very goodbye from me. And it's a very goodbye from our returning Riot Badger, Alex.
See you later.
And it's a very goodbye from our Chelsea counterpart. I don't know. Dickhead? No, sorry, Dan.
Sorry. Oh, dear. I would say it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Normally we say so best of luck for 36 games this season, but I can't wish that this time. I'm sorry.
You can't bring yourself to do it. Oh, dear.
But no. But seriously, you're actually a lot nicer than I thought you were going to be, which made this more difficult than it should have been.
No worries, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers. Thanks, Dan. And thank you, everybody. Goodbye. Leeds!
Most of our stats come from LUFC Stats or LUFC Data on Twitter. You should probably give them a follow as they're more interesting than us. A very special thanks to Adam Elliot, Adam Warner, Barney Stuart, Cookie, Ewan and Howard Metcalf, Josh Pearson, Laura, Leon and Rob, The Light Show, and all our family and friends.
So many games to play, don't care what's on your mind. I should have said no, but I didn't think that you'd mind.